Welcome to the show, everybody. Sean Palmer, Seth Kamen's over there. How you doing, buddy? It is, it's day 2 without football. It's just a very strange concept in that last night on the group chat for my fantasy league, somebody said, "Is there no football on tonight? Like, is there just not?"
Did you miss it? Were you not entertained by the eating of dogs and cats?
Oh, I had my popcorn ready, buddy. It was strange. Last night was look. No matter what side of the aisle you were on, last night was an interesting night, just in general, right? And if you're a fan of the show, you know which side of the aisle Seth and I are on, and that's okay. You could be on the other side. We respect who you are. However, we do. Let's just but before we go on to sports, let's acknowledge what today is, right? So for all the bluster, for all the crap that we go through, for all the spirited discussions that both sides of the aisle have, we have that because of things that happened today, 24 years ago. We had 23 years ago. We have that because people stood up for the way that we live, and we have the ability to have that discord amongst friends, amongst family, amongst compatriots because of things that happened and people that stood up to, I will say, oppression 23 years ago. And we didn't back down at that time. We stood firm. And look, I know where I was 23 years ago. I think everybody of our age knows exactly where they were at that time. And every year we come to this date on 9/11 and are thankful for certain things, are disgusted by other things, but appreciate the ability to have the discord that we had last night, regardless of anything else.
Agreed.
And so here we are talking sports. Here we are thinking about, first of all, my Jets losing on Monday night in what was atrocious fashion. The Seth and Sean Sports Radio Fantasy League losing in what I would call atrocious fashion. The fact that I was down in both my fantasy leagues at 7:15 on Sunday by the exact amount of points, the same points, with the same players, and lost both leagues. And neither one was more than 30 points. It was just a bad week overall. I think this is the first week that Seth and I combined went 0-4 in our history. You went
No, I went 1-4.
Oh, you actually won one. Congrats.
I did. It was not an impressive performance, but I went, I think, 130 to 122 or something like that. It was not great.
Well, we lost by one.
Yes, I am familiar.
We lost by Garrett Wilson.
Sean's text. I am not a text person, as anyone who knows. I hate text, but every once in a while, it's really funny just to see his response. So I texted Sean after the game. We lost. I think it was 149, 148. I could have guaranteed. I would have put $1 million in what his response was. Grr.
It was real. Look, it was really frustrating to see the Jets come out as unprepared as they were. To see Mike Williams only get 10 snaps was really something that was disconcerting to me. Now, granted, coming off ACL surgery.
Yeah, was he still injured, or was
No. I mean, 10 snaps, no targets doesn't scream this guy is going to be a contributor to me over the year.
No.
Look, you played the 49ers, a Super Bowl team last year. This was not going to be a cakewalk no matter what. And if you lose this game and you win the division, nobody remembers this game in January. And I've said that since Monday night. Now, if you are the Bengals and you lose an AFC game to the Patriots. Look, the other good thing about the Jets is that they lost an out-of-conference game, right? So this is not a debilitating loss by any stretch. There are 16 more games to go. That is still very, very weird to say that there are 17 in total, but there are 16 more to go. And to tell you the truth, you didn't look as bad as the Giants. So, I mean,
there's not a team other than Carolina. Nobody did.
And I'm not even sure Carolina looked as bad because
47.
Oh, no. I watched the whole Carolina game, but Carolina went in with no expectations. So you're kind of like, okay, that's what we expected. I'm not sure you expected the Giants to be that bad.
No, I did not.
And
I thought losing would not have shocked me.
Right, of course.
Because I don't think they're very good.
Of course.
But I did not anticipate 28-6 never being in the game. The whole point with Brian Dable replacing Mike Kafka's play, there was going to be more creative. There was going to be more downfield throws. The offensive line, they brought in 4 new starters. They brought in Brian Burns. That was crap. There's no other way to put it. That was garbage. And if that's, next week's game, I mean, it's weird to say is a must win. But considering who their next 5 games are, it's kind of a must win. Because you are legitimately looking at 0-7, 1-6. At that point, you might as well bench them because they're not making the playoffs. I guess we should explain why.
Janoris Jenkins came out today and said, "Do you send some toilet paper to the Giants facilities for Dan Da-Doo-Doo Man? He needs it. Da-Doo-Doo Man." I had never heard that as Daniel Jones's nickname, Dan Da-Doo-Doo Man. Doo-doo.
Really?
Yeah.
Really?
Look, he was booed coming off. He was booed in the parking lot. He is a $40 million man that is being booed. And based on what you saw, look, you said last week, I believe the countdown was 10 or 11 games for him to be bubble wrapped. Have you updated that prediction?
No, because it's one game. And I try really hard not to go crazy on one game. But, man, it's hard. Because, I mean, luckily I missed most of it. But that was horrifying.
Yeah. Well, and truth be told, I think it's actually just as now Carolina came in with no expectations, but just as if not more horrifying for Carolina in that they made no progress. Like there is no progress on that team. That team, like I said, I watched that whole game. And part of the reason why you watch that whole game is when you have Alvin Kamara and Chris Olave on your team, you kind of watch the whole game because anything that happens in that offense should be mine. Unfortunately, none of it was mine because Rashid Sheed, right, put up the points for New Orleans, not Chris Olave, our inconsistent superstar. Just didn't do anything. And so then the game was out of hand by the second half, so we were throwing the ball anyway. But the fact is, Carolina looked just as bad, if not worse, just not as disconcerting. I mean, they are in the driver's seat for the number 1 pick. Carolina has not improved 1 iota from last year. And the thing is, they have their quarterback, but maybe they don't. I mean, I get it that he's in year 2, but you can say the same thing about Justin Fields, right? So if you get the number 1 pick next year, now granted, there's no Caleb Williams coming out, right? You don't believe there is a Caleb Williams coming out.
Who looked horrendous, by the way.
Oh, okay, but my point is, right, a college Caleb Williams. I'm not saying you don't have a surefire number 1 quarterback. So if the Panthers go 1-16 this year and get that number one pick, they should do exactly what the Bears did and trade it for a boatload of something. But B, if they don't, there's no surefire quarterback that's better than Bryce Young. So where do you go from there?
Way too early to tell. Jaden Daniels was not a first-round pick going into the season last year.
No, agreed. That's what I said, as of today, right?
Yeah. I mean, right now you have 3 or 4
Right.
quarterbacks that you would think would go first round. Shedeur Sanders, Quinn Ewers, Carson Beck. I like Cam Ward from Miami.
And by the way, good luck on Shedeur Sanders. Man, that guy has – I don't know. If you're an NFL team, are you –
You read the article.
No, I just saw his press conference. I saw that he walked off the field with 2 minutes left in the game and left his team behind and said, you know what? It's 4th and 1. I'll throw the ball because I think I have the best chance of doing it. And I'm kind of like, it's 4th and 1. Give your team some backing too, regardless of whether you think you're not the coach. You don't decide that play. And granted, his father only does what he wants for the best interest of his son. This is why this is all screwed up. But is this a new Todd Marinovich type situation? Is this a Jamarcus Russell? Marinovich is a better example, being that the father rules the roost, right? Yes. Now, you have the opposite too, because Caleb Williams was kind of like that also, except for the fact that Caleb Williams kept his mouth shut. So, I mean, I don't know if Shedeur Sanders is in that talent-wise, certainly, right?
It will take a certain kind of team. I mean, one comes to mind pretty easily.
If you say the New York Giants, that is not the team.
No, the Raiders.
If Antonio Pierce is still there, which he
They're
may
one game in. They're one game in. He'll still be there. Again, it's one game.
I get it, but it was a hell of a one game. I mean, look, Jim Harbaugh. First of all, kudos to all the Chargers and all the Raiders that got into that fight, because that was the most entertaining part of that entire game, was the fight at the end, the brawl at the end. For all you fantasy owners that had Zay White, I'm sorry. Once again,
Zamir White.
Yeah, Zamir White, because we should have kept Alexander Madison based on that. But yeah, it's one game, and okay, so let's go through this, and I think it's important in this. I want you to tell me whether I'm going to make some statements, and I want you to tell me whether I'm overreacting or not. Okay, based on week 1. Okay. Tyreek Hill will lead the NFL in receiving yards. He had 130 this week.
True.
Okay, not an overreaction. He will.
No.
Okay. The Patriots will finish 500 or better.
Will finish what?
500 or better.
No. Overreaction.
Josh Allen will lead the league in passing yards.
Overreaction.
Okay. The Jets will finish under 500. Actually, let's put it this way. The Jets will finish in the bottom 5 of rushing defense.
Overreaction.
The Jets will not have a pass rusher with more than 10 sacks.
I will say overreaction.
So somebody's going to get there. Hassan Reddick will be on the team by the end of September.
I think so, but I don't think you can call that an overreaction because they don't seem to be anywhere close.
Right. Okay. Jim Harbaugh leads the Chargers to the playoffs.
In 2024?
This year.
Overreaction.
Okay. The Chiefs win the AFC West.
Come on.
Okay. Just
Why would that be an overreaction?
I don't know. I'm asking. That's what I'm saying. Okay. Let's go with this one. The Broncos will finish under 500.
Not an overreaction. I think that's pretty evident.
Antonio Pierce will not be a Raider coach in 2025. Now, granted, one game.
Overreaction.
Okay. Justin Fields will have and Justin Fields will have more starts than Russell Wilson.
Not an overreaction.
Okay. Deshaun Watson will be the worst starting quarterback in the NFL this year.
Overreaction.
See, and I'm not sure that is. I'm not.
You wanted him on our fantasy team.
I know, but then I watched game one. Oh my Lord! So just to be clear, David Njoku's out for a couple of weeks. Thank God for Jerome Ford. But man, I got to tell you, Seth, I watched Daniel Jones, and I thought Deshaun Watson was worse. I mean, I really do. If I'm the Browns with the new allegations that have come out, I got to hope that the NFL suspends this guy for a couple of weeks, and that way it voids all these guarantees. Because if not, he's going to be owed $92 million for the next 2 years, guaranteed.
Overreaction. Will he spend over $500,000 at massage parlors during that time?
I think he might spend more than half of it on lawsuits resulting from the massage parlors. Maybe not from the actual massages. Derrick Henry will not have more than 25 carries in any game.
Overreaction.
You think he will? Okay.
Yeah.
After John,
I think he will be better and better in November and December.
Okay, so John Harbaugh has come out and said his games of 25 carries are not going to happen. Like, he has come out and said that. So I got to tell you, I loved watching Lamar Jackson play on Thursday night. I really did. But if he keeps going at the pace that he's going to get hurt.
Yeah.
Okay. The Bengals will lose to 3 out of the 4 AFC East teams this year.
I don't think you can call it an overreaction because the Patriots are the worst of the 4.
That's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying. Okay. The Texans will win 14 games.
Oh, God.
Okay.
Overreaction.
Okay. All right. So let's go on to the NFC for a couple. Okay. Saquon Barkley will lead the league in touchdowns.
I disagree, but I don't think it's an overreaction.
Okay. Mike McCarthy has a job next year with the Cowboys.
Again, I don't think he will, but it's not an overreaction for him to keep one.
Okay. The Giants have a top 3 pick in the NFL draft.
Certainly not an overreaction based on Sunday.
Okay. All right. What was your most surprising part of week 1?
New England over Cincinnati in Cincinnati. I don't think anything is close.
Did you play in suicide pools this year? Survivor pools?
So I actually did this year.
So I played in one. 9 out of the 12 teams are gone. Sorry, 8. 8 out of the 12 teams picked Cincinnati.
Are you gone?
I am not. I made a late switch, and I went to Seattle over Denver because my feeling was I will never be able to use Seattle again. So I wanted to make sure I used them. I thought I would use Cincinnati again based on their schedule, and I'm really glad I made the switch because I would. So 8 out of the 12, 2/3 of the teams are gone. And Cincinnati, I think their next game. Hold on, I had their next game up for a second. Now I lost it. So they played the Chiefs on Sunday at 4:25. Then they play at home versus the Commanders, and then away against the Bengals. they looking at their schedule, their bounce. Listen to this. It's like a bounce 1-2, 1-2, 1-2. So assume that they lose against the Chiefs, they're probably going to beat the Commanders at home, right? And then they beat the Panthers, so they go one. So they'll be 2-1 at that point, 2-2. They play the Ravens at Baltimore, probably 2-3. They play the Bengals. They play the Giants away. That's 3-3.
What team are we talking about right now?
We're talking about the Bengals. Like,
Oh.
it seems like every other game is a hard game, and every other game they'll be favored. So like 9-8 probably, or 10-7, unless Jamar Chase becomes Jamar Chase and T. Higgins gets healthy again. I get your point in that this is game one, right? So what have you gleaned from game one that may work? That obviously Cincinnati surprised you, but what out of the games themselves surprised you? Were you surprised that Caleb Williams struggled? Were you surprised that Baker Mayfield was as good as he was? Because that surprised me.
Well, first of all, Washington doesn't have much of a secondary, so that's not shocking. I was surprised how effective Joe Mixon was.
Yeah, 30 carries, highest carry total ever for him.
Supposedly, Cam Akers was better in the preseason, and considering Houston's offense, I was genuinely surprised to see how much he got. I'm kind of going through the teams. Because I mean, to say that I was disappointed by teams the way I don't like to think about that I was surprised by teams in game one that doesn't make any sense to me. But I will say I was surprised that all of the rookie quarterbacks struggled to the degree that they did.
So things for me to watch, right, going forward. Things I would think you would watch.
Well, I have one. Is Mark Andrews now the number 2 tight end?
Well, that may be. First of all, he went for $72 in our free agent auction today, by the way.
In hours?
Yes, $72 out of 200. Yeah. I think it's
okay.
200. I don't think we have 100, right? We get 200 for the year, or we get 100 for the year? 200? So he went for 72. So FYI. Okay. And maybe, right? Because Andrews is always hurt. I mean, he always misses a game or two, and likely was 6 inches from that. I mean, wow. By the way, is Brandon Aubrey the new Justin Tucker? Puts up 21 points, and my God, they should have let him kick that 71-yarder. I was waiting because I think he could have hit it. I mean, he hit from 66 with no problem. That was called back. Okay, things that I would say you have to watch. First of all, you alluded to this last week. You alluded to the fact that Drake London may or may not be the guy, right? May or may not be a success, right? But I will tell you, 148 yards out of Kirk Cousins does not do anything for the Falcons. Like, does not. Like, that was incredibly disappointing to lose at home versus Pittsburgh and Justin Fields, especially when Justin Fields is the Georgia boy. Like, incredibly disappointing. And I think more so disappointing because the offense just didn't click. And I understand it's week 1 and Cousins didn't play a lot in the preseason, but this continues and you get some screens for Michael Penix. And I'm not sure that's warranted either, but that's a lot of money to be paying for a guy 148 yards in game 1. Okay, other things that I was looking at. Welcome to the Detroit offense, the new Detroit offense. It's not just ground and pound anymore with Gibbs and Montgomery. Jameson Williams making his I mean, we all saw what he did in college. I think we're now seeing why they traded up for him. That's a speed element that they did not have last year for the majority of the year. And if you couple him with St. Brown underneath, as long as they stay healthy, that they may lead the league in points. Sam Darnold, oh, I can't get on the Sam Darnold bandwagon. Even with 28 points, I can't get on the Sam Darnold bandwagon. Puka being out for 4 weeks, I'm not really sure that's a 4-week injury. I banged up his knee. I get it. It's been troubling him since preseason. We picked up Demarcus Robinson, by the way, for $2. So we got some.
Okay. Thoughts on Marvin Harrison?
I was just going to get to Marvin Harrison Jr. with 1 catch. Now, what I will say is before 2 or 3 years ago, let's say before the Pukas, before the Garrett Wilsons, right? Before 2 or 3 years ago, it was really hard for a wide receiver to come into the NFL and be a star. It was. It just didn't happen as a rookie. Like, think about it, right? You had your Calvin Johnsons every once in a while. You may have had your DeAndre Hopkins, but it wasn't like fait accompli that your first-round pick was going to be a superstar, especially as a wideout. Just think about some of these wideouts that took 2 or 3 years.
Look at you using fait accompli.
Fait accompli. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. I think you're going to have Marvin Harrison. Obviously, he didn't get a ton of targets either. I think he got 6 targets.
Yeah, I think I got 4.
Okay, 4 or 6 targets. So they have to get used to him too. And Kyler Murray has to get used to him. I mean, he's a buy low target if you're looking for somebody in fantasy league. But at the end of the day, I think he's going to lead all rookies in catches. He'll lead all rookies in targets. He'll lead all rookies in yards. That would be an overreaction to me, is to say that, and nobody's saying he's a bust, but saying that he's not going to be a superstar, because I still think he is.
Yeah.
All right. I know you believed a lot more in this guy than I did going into this season. And if this guy continues to do what he did on Sunday, I will admit I was 100% wrong. Do you know who this guy is?
Kenneth Walker?
Yeah, 100%. I watched that game and I was like, okay, I may have to cut Cal here. I may have to.
It's too early.
I get it, but the thing is that I thought that team would pass more with McDonald. And they're not going to. They're built to run the ball, and that's what they're going to do. And I thought that DK Metcalf, I thought Lockett, I thought Najee Smith would get more.
By the way, how about a blast from the past, Tyler Lockett catching the ball to clinch the game?
Yeah.
Did it make you feel good?
Number 16? Yeah, of course it did.
Go. One of our all-time favorites.
Yeah, one of the guys.
But not forgotten.
He would go in the Seth and Sean Sports Radio Fantasy Hall of Fame. Like, we should actually go through it and see. I mean, we know our quarterback. It's Ben Roethlisberger, backed up by Joe Flacco. I mean, that's right. We know our running back is Le'Veon Bell.
Le'Veon Bell.
Yeah, and maybe Joe Mixon, maybe.
No, I think we have to go more obscure. I think we take one superstar and one more obscure one.
I mean, we know it's Antonio Brown and Tyler Lockett, right? I mean, we probably have to have a third in there. I have no idea who our tight end would be. None, because it's not Mark Andrews.
No.
And we've had him a couple of years. I think we actually won with him like 8 years ago. But it'll be interesting. We'll do that. Justin Tucker is obviously our kicker.
But I believe this would be the end of the road for.
This may be the end of the road. This may be the end of the road of Sean bidding $3 on Justin Tucker. But we'll do that in a future episode as to our Hall of Famers for our fantasy team. But yes, it was nice to see Tyler Lockett coming up big. I gotta say, the Eagles look good, my friend. They look good. Yep. They look good, and this team is going to be based on health. I was very happy to see the tush push not work for the first time. I think everybody was, right? You just want you don't want that to be a yes, absolutely. I didn't watch. Did you watch a lot of the Cowboys game? I didn't get. That was the Browns. I mean,
No, I not really.
I'm interested to see how the rushing game worked with them. I mean, the game was so far out of hand by the time it got to that point. But I mean, Deshaun Watson dug the team's grave very early anyway.
Yes, did.
By the way, could you have a better weekend than Dak Prescott? Is it humanly possible to have a better weekend than I'm just going to sign for $240 million for 4 years, guaranteed of like 213, and I'll just win without really doing anything on Sunday. Yeah, I mean Dak got what Dak needed, and the next contract is now Micah Parsons, who should be the highest paid player on the defensive side of the ball in the NFL.
Agreed.
So, all right, if you look at the AFC, I got to tell you, I'm a little disturbed by what happened with Tyreek Hill and the police. I'm a little disturbed on both sides, right? I'm a little disturbed that he can't follow directions. I'm a little disturbed that he provoked the whole thing. I'm also a little disturbed that the police, no matter what they provoked, took it too far.
Yep.
It goes both ways. So for those that, in my opinion, for those that are saying the police overreacted, you are 100% right. No question. They did. They should have de-escalated instead of escalating. For those that are saying Tyreek Hill was the cause of this whole thing, you are absolutely right. Both of those can be true, and they were, and it's unfortunate. Okay, Jacoby Brissett, congratulations, you won a game as a starter.
Doesn't happen too often.
Yeah, and to Bo Nix, it's unfortunate, but you should have won that game. Like you played well enough to win that game as a starting quarterback for the Broncos. Raiders, you looked awful. Steelers, you played the Falcons. That's all it needs to be said. You played the Falcons. The Browns looked like the worst team in the NFL. They really did. They looked worse than the Giants. They looked worse than the Panthers because the thing is they have higher expectations.
They have higher expectations.
Yep.
It's different.
So you got the Ravens who played as well as you could without winning. 6 inches, my friends. That's all it was, 6 inches of a foot. Because Harbaugh was going for 2. We weren't even going to – the thing is we wouldn't have even gotten the Justin Tucker point there because they were going for 2. Justin Tucker lost us this game with a miss of a 50-yard field goal. I just figured that out. Anyway, Texans –
Not that you're not remotely bitter, a little bit bitter about this.
I'm not bitter at all because we're going to – don't worry. What's going to happen is Anthony Richardson, who looked amazing, by the way, is going to get hurt week 10. We're going to pick up Joe Flacco and ride him and Michael Pittman to the championship. That's the way that's going to work. Okay.
Easton Stick's not walking through that door, man.
Well, Justin Herbert's not getting hurt again, so probably not. Okay, let's switch over to one of your favorite pastimes, college football. If your name is not Notre Dame, are you still in the top 25 this week?
Probably not.
I am so pissed off by that. Like, first of all, I just don't get it. I don't get how that team looked. But the only team that looked worse than them was Michigan. That Michigan looked awful. Michigan shouldn't have won week 1. And
my son has decided he wants to go to Michigan.
How do you feel about that?
He can get in, God bless him.
How do you feel about the cost of Michigan?
It's a state school. I'm good.
Okay. It's a state school. I'm good. Hold on a second. I want to say out of state cost to go to Michigan. What do you think? How much you think? Come on.
I have no idea.
Give me a rough estimate.
50.
Tuition and fees for a freshman is $60,000. Your living expenses are 15 and a half. Your books are 1,200. They have transportation. I don't know why you're going to fly them first class anyway.
Excuse me?
Fine.
I've never flown first class before. Why would he?
You've never flown first class?
Well, maybe for a wedding we did.
So in total, by the way, and I know you're the math guy and I'm not, but I'll do the math for you. That is $77,000 a year to go to a state school.
That is fucking ridiculous.
Now, if he goes to Rutgers, in-state tuition, $11,600.
Well, according to my wife, Princeton.
Let's look what that is. Princeton isn't Princeton totally covered?
A lot of it is.
Well, Princeton in-state tuition is $57,410.
Yes, but there's also going to be probably aid that comes with it. So, and hopefully some scholarship. Look, I can't worry about it at this point.
No, your son's brilliant. It won't matter.
Well, that doesn't matter, but he's 8. I'm not going there. Hopefully there will be enough money that I don't have to liquidate my retirement account to pay for it. And he will be looking at every goddamn scholarship grant that is humanly possible.
I will tell you.
He will get it. Sorry.
I will tell you, as much as your family loves me, Uncle Sean ain't ponying up for tuition. It just doesn't work that way. Nope. There ain't even a Jake Cayman's fund in my retirement for tuition. There's barely a fund for me. There's no fund for him. But yeah, I mean, look, college tuition is ridiculous. But I was just wondering, he wants to now go to Michigan. Okay, sure, why not? Let's do it.
I'm looking at Maryland right now.
Seth, if nothing else, we'll go visit.
Great, I'll have no money to go.
That's why we'll go visit. You'll be like, Sean, you're driving from Jersey.
$57,000.
Yep.
That's that's more than we paid.
No, no chance. I paid $32 per year.
Yeah, you went to a private university.
So hold on.
I paid like 16. Wow, Syracuse is more expensive than Michigan. It's almost as it's worse.
So Maryland's. Hold on. Oh wow! In 1998, tuition for undergraduate. Oh, that's residents. Tuition for non-residents, undergraduate, was $5,400 per semester. So you paid $10,800. Wow. I didn't realize. I mean, that's plus fees and everything else. Syracuse was, hold on, 1998. This is scary that they have this chronicle on tuition and fees.
How did we go from to here?
Well, you said that you wanted Jake to go to Michigan.
No, Jake said he wanted to go to Michigan.
Oh, you don't want Jake to go to Michigan?
He wants to go if he can get in.
So anyway, all right. So
he also wants to be a Jets fan. So I mean,
that's the first smart thing that I've heard out of your mouth all day. It's not the first.
No, I thought Kenneth Walker being a good pick was the first.
No, that was last week's. That was last week. That wasn't this week. Anyway, the fact is, look, if he wants to go to Michigan, we'll be happy to go and root against Michigan. No problem. Okay, so Syracuse wins 2-0. Kyle McCord.
Congratulations.
And beats a top 25 team for the first time in 4 years. Kyle McCord may be the best transfer in football right now. Over 750 yards in his first 2 games. 8 touchdowns, 1 interception. And I very much thank Ohio State for the gift. When a guy goes 12-1, he is against Big Ten competition. He is welcome to quarterback at Syracuse any year. No problem. Thank you so much for that.
Just out of curiosity, did you know you're being no hit right now?
I'm not playing any sport right now.
Thank you for clearing that up.
The Mets are being no hit?
Yes, although they're tied 1-1.
Somehow that doesn't sound right. How did that happen? What inning are we in?
9th?
No, we're 1 hit. 1 hit, 1 run.
Oh, it was has no hitter through 8. On ESPN, it says he has no hitter through 8.
Oh, then they just got a hit.
Just,
yeah, 1 hit. They got a home run. No, they probably
in the top of the 9th.
Okay. They probably just hit the home run. Yep, top of the 9th hit the home run. So that's why it's 1-1. Francisco Lindor, the MVP of the National League, hopefully, has the home run. Okay, I have not followed Maryland football at all this year. Is it worth following?
No, we lost to Michigan State at the buzzer.
I mean, Syracuse can considerably go 5-0 going into North Carolina State. And if we have a bye week this week. Let's have a bye week in week 3. That makes a lot of sense for all parties concerned. And next week we play at home against Stanford in the 40th anniversary of the AMA Wireless Dome, which people like call the Carrier Dome. 40th anniversary of the stadium that made domes popular. Because before that, there really weren't many, certainly not on a college campus. If I recall correctly, Seth, last time we talked about movies that had to deal with sports, you had stated that Field of Dreams was an overrated movie.
Did I?
I believe you did.
Okay. I liked it. I don't think of it as an all-time great, but I
don't think of it either. I think the role that James Earl, and this is obviously a head nod to James Earl Jones, right, who passed away this week. I think the character of James Earl Jones was better than the movie itself.
Yeah.
I think it's far more remarkable than the movie itself. I think it was actually one of his best roles. I think. Are you wiping the camera screen? You just wiped the camera lens. Ladies and gentlemen, Seth has no time to clean his computer, so he's cleaning it while we're on the show.
There we go.
Well, now you look a lot crisper, a lot younger.
No, I still look old.
No, the gray hair has gone away. Now
of course it has.
No, I meant the gray in the hair, not the gray hair.
Okay.
The gray in the hair has gone away. But so of the and we talk about a lot of things on this show, but James Earl Jones passing away, one of the at 93, I think, definitely a long life. One of those people that certainly made our childhood start with Star Wars, go on to Coming to America, right? And all the things in between. And I'm sure I'm missing a bunch. Mufasa from Lion King. And obviously Terrence Mann from Field of Dreams. I failed to realize, so I was watching some of the clips on Field of Dreams. You think it's the best baseball movie?
Well, Major League 3 was really, really good.
Back to the minors.
Horrendous. One of the most horrifying movies I've ever seen. Let me think for a second.
So in the grouping, I think you got The Natural, right? You got Bad News Bears, probably in that group.
I never saw Bad News Bears.
You should watch it with Jake. I think he would like the movie, especially considering there's absolutely no cursing, no fighting, and no blood. it might be the perfect movie for your son.
Oh, you know what my favorite baseball movie of all time is?
Major League? Oh, Bull Durham? $1 Million Arm and 10-cent head?
There you go. Luke LaRouche.
No, Nuke LaLoosh.
Nuke LaRouche.
Nuke LaLoosh. Nuke LaLoosh. And Susan Sarandon, Kevin Costner, a great. And who was the guy? Who was the pitching coach? The guy from HBO.
Robert Wall.
Robert Wall. Yep.
Candlesticks are a great wedding gift.
They are. So I agree. I think of all the characters, I think you put Crash Davis in there along with Terrence Mann as my favorite ones. And surprisingly, Crash Davis is also Kevin Costner, which is in Field of Dreams. Like you could do.
I mean, literally, his career is doing westerns and doing baseball movies.
And golf.
Well, he did Tin Cup. Did he do anything else?
No, but that's enough. Tin Cup was one of my favorite Kevin Costner. I think he's more Western than anything else. And don't worry, you don't have to see Horizon, which is now on Max. It was absolutely awful, and it didn't make it even out of the theaters with more than 20 million. He put in 35 of his own money.
Maybe that's why his wife left him.
Oh, that's not nice.
Could be.
Are you hypothesizing here? That's not nice. We're the nice guys on the show. That's not nice. It's not. Look at that smile. That's not nice.
Fair enough. I'm sorry.
Come on. Not. By the way, the pitcher on the Blue Jays, Bowden Francis, lost a no-hitter in the ninth for the second time in 4 starts.
Jeez. It brings up the obvious question. Who the hell is Bowen Francis?
He's as close to Johnny Vandermeer as you can find. That's basically what that is. For those that,
and the sad part is I know Johnny Vandermeer very well.
So
I just don't know Bowen Francis.
So why is Johnny Vandermeer famous?
Because he was the only pitcher in Major League history to have back-to-back no-hitters.
Correct. Which is
and he almost had a third. I believe he almost had a third one also.
Which is probably one of the 5 most unbreakable records in sports. Because in order to break it, you got to pitch 3 no-hitters in a row. And you have to pitch all 9 innings, which I think might be harder. 3 complete games in a row is probably harder than 3 no-hitters these days, because nobody pitches 3 complete games in a row. And certainly in baseball lore, I would put that right up with things that are almost impossible. Cy Young's 511 wins.
And 315 losses.
No, yeah, that too. Nolan Ryan's 5,000 strikeouts. Ricky Henderson.
No.
Think about it.
200 for 25 years. I get it. But there could be a Randy Johnson there somewhere down the line.
Even Randy didn't do it. I mean, how many? Hold on. How many strikeouts do you think is leading the league right now?
Well, right now it's a hitter's era. So probably.
Well, no, it's a strikeout, walk, or home run era. I mean, right now the leading strikeout pitcher is Chris Sale with 213 in 100.
What did I just say?
What do you mean?
I literally just said 210, 220.
Right. So you were right. I wasn't saying you were wrong. So he averages 11.5 strikeouts per 9 innings. The problem is he doesn't pitch 9 innings ever. He's pitched 166 innings this year. So he'll probably top out at close to 200. Okay? Even if you pitch 200 innings and 200 divided by 9 times 11.5, it's 255 strikeouts, right? You have to do that.
I get your point.
20 years.
You have to average 250 strikeouts for 25 years for the most part. Fair.
So Henderson's steal record is never going to be touched.
Agreed.
Never. Even with the relaxed stolen bases that you can only throw over there twice, it's just not valued as much. It will never be touched. So I would
think
go
Vince Coleman's record for steals in a season.
It's not his. It's Henderson's. Henderson has 130. Coleman has 118.
That's right. I was mixing them up.
Coleman has the National League record, and Henderson has the American League record at 130. I wonder, current steals MLB career. How much you think is the current leader in stolen bases?
The amount or the person?
The amount and the person.
I can't even guess the person. I would assume it would be somewhere between 200 and 300.
Okay, so it's 353. So you're close enough. By Starling Marte, who's 35 years old. He's 35, right?
That old?
Yeah. So the one that is Ronald Acuna is 26, is out for the rest of this year, right? Has had 2 knee surgeries. Is 26 years old, and he has 200 steals in his career. Okay. Ricky Henderson had 1,406. That ain't getting touched either. No chance.
Ricky, and also knowing Ricky, because Ricky likes to talk about Ricky. If someone somehow did break that record, Ricky would come back as like a 70-year-old and would find a way to steal more bases just to beat it. Because that's how Ricky rolls.
So here's the interesting part. In the top 25 stolen bases, current stolen base leaders in careers, 1, 2, 3 are under the age of 30.
In active or just
total? Active. Only 3 are under the age of 30. Top 25.
Have I heard of any of them?
So you've heard of Cedric Mullins, probably. He's the center fielder for the Orioles.
Wasn't he on the Orioles?
Yeah, he's on the Orioles, but he's got 120. He's 29. Like, that's not going anywhere, right? You have Shea Ohtani, who has 133, and he has like 45 of them this year. That's not going anywhere, and he's 29. And then you got Acuna, who's out for the rest of this year, and he'll start next year with 200, just under 200. That's not going anywhere either. So none of these guys have a chance, even remotely close, of that record. Not so. I would say that Nolan Ryan, Johnny Vandermeer, Cy Young. That's it. Everybody else is look.
No,
4,000 hits is possible.
Strikeouts in a season is like 383.
Yeah, by Nolan Ryan.
Yeah, that's not being broken.
Probably not. You're probably right. Yep. Yeah. You got to pitch 300 innings to do it. And nobody's pitching 300 innings. Nobody's even pitching 200 innings. Well, I think there were 5 guys that pitched 200 innings last year. Okay. Last 5 minutes. Next week, we will come back with A, week 2. B, we'll start talking NBA. Yes. You're not excited. C, we'll talk about the Mets, hopefully entrance into the playoffs. Yes. And the Yankees the Yankees are in the playoffs. The Mets maybe entrance into the playoffs. And maybe Shea Ohtani will have a 50-50 year. It's close. It may happen. Okay, last 5 minutes, Mr. Kamens. Give me what you got.
Give you what you got. Congratulations, and I think I said this last week to the professional American tennis players. Look, no championship, but 2 finalists, 3 semifinalists, or 4 semifinalists. Taylor Swift, Jesus, Taylor Fritz making be the first. He is kind of pretty. He's the first American to make a Grand Slam final since 2009. Jessica Pegula making her first final. Both of them putting up pretty spirited finals, just losing the better players. The U.S. Open was phenomenal. Just stop starting matches at 12:30 at night. It's bleeping ridiculous. Because how do you play 2 days later if you're finishing at 3 in the morning? Do better.
Okay. So number one, the Mets are now ahead 2-1. So congrats. Playoff push. You got to believe. You got to believe. But congratulations to Jamal Murray. I don't know how you played as poorly as you did over the last 9 months and still got another bag. But you, with your 4-year, $209 million extension, which is supposedly completely guaranteed with no injury protection, you are now probably the most watched player in the NBA for 2024-2025, because your contract will either age incredibly well or incredibly poorly, because you have a $50 million bag for a guy that played awful in the Olympics, played awful in the playoffs. Your team lost their two of their starting five because of this extension. And now you have a lot of pressure on you going forward. So congratulations for you pulling in the bag. And now congratulations to every eye. You are the most watched player in the NBA for next year. So we will talk about that more in the upcoming weeks when we get to our NBA preview, because the Nuggets, this is a pivotal season for the Nuggets. For Seth Kamens, who's doing some work, Sean Palmer over here, Seth and Sean Sports, hopefully a win this week will right the ship. We'll talk to you all next week. Have a good week, everybody.